Every week it's the same. Computer cloud, I never know which one. Well, welcome. Hi, Ryan.
Hello.
How you doing?
So stoked to be here.
All right, guys, if you've never met Ryan, which a lot of you haven't, but I know some of you on here work with Ryan, God, you're in for a treat tonight. So we're going to be running this together. Mikey has got some swollen lymph nodes, so we've given him the night off. So if you've never been blessed with this creature's wisdom and knowledge, holy shit. He's actually we met through trading, but he is my business coach as well. So pretty much everything I learn and teach you guys from this guy right here. Basically. But yeah, so friends first. I then hired him as a coach because he's just so phenomenal at what he does and he's so damn freaking wise. So I'm going to bring Ryan on in a bit, but Ryan, feel free to jump in at any point in time if something like,
Oh,
hits you in the head and says, oh, I've got something to drop there.
good
Please
juju,
do.
absolutely.
Guys, lots of cams on tonight. If you can have your camera on, I can see who does have a cam but doesn't have it on. I would love if you can, just because it makes our jobs a lot easier when we can see faces and see expressions. We vibe off you. Okay, that's one thing for sure. Now,
Consider it practice for making money online, right? And not in the X-rated after hours type of way, just when you're on the charts and you're sharing with your team and other people who are curious about learning off you, right? That's why we're on camera.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, my room is very moody at night, so those off-hour sessions could go down a treat, but we're not here for that. All right, guys. Well, I know there's a couple of new people on here tonight. So if you don't know who I am, my name is SJ. I am one of the founders of Tradehouse Australia. I brought this to Aussie back in 2016, March. So, if we start working together, you're going to learn a little bit about me as we go through this together. But if you've never been on one of these calls, this is just a call. Mike Miles, who is the founder of Tradehouse, one of the founders, one of three guys. He was also the first ever educator on Go Live on the platform. So the fact that you guys get, direct access to the people that made this is pretty amazing. So we've been running these calls since 2017, every single Tuesday as much as possible. But yeah, so welcome to my new office. No pink walls tonight. Chippy just painted this a nice Bunnings green and I am vibing it. So we'll see what this room brings me this year. But if you have never been on one of these calls, these are not your everyday trading psychology calls. Especially if you're new and you don't actually understand the importance of psychology or why we talk about that. That is why we run these calls, and you're going to learn about that tonight. So the topics we cover on these calls are all practical, and we kind of examine, the perils of trading through the prism of human behavior. And so my background is actually in psychology, and it's paid off with trading. So I guess, why do we focus on this? We focus because human behavior rarely changes unless we're made aware of it. Okay, and Tani, who I believe is on this call tonight, she's our most recent FTMO funded trader, and she said to me a couple of weeks ago that one of the things that she didn't understand the importance of trading psychology until she became funded, because it is just trading and FTMO. It is the one thing that'll expose everything about you. And that's why we do this, because guys, you guys know this. If you don't know it, I'm going to tell you right now, trading is hard. Okay, it is the hardest way of making easy money, and it's important to understand that if you want to excel at trading, you'll have to do more than just buy some books and read them, find a mentor, and go through our courses. Okay, they're just they're the important bread and butter parts of learning, but building the mindset of success is what is required of you. So you've got a whole lot of shit to unlearn, to relearn. This is an industry that will make you question everything that you've believed or you've been told, because most of your beliefs aren't even yours to begin with. They've been passed down to you from generation to generation. So every Tuesday call is a little bit different. We, sometimes it's a rabbit hole session. Other times it's just we like to have one-on-ones, chit chatty. Georgia's loving it. Thank you, Georgia, for smiling. Don't know what you're smiling at, but thank you. Now, guys, if you have a breakthrough tonight, okay, I'd like you to use our hashtag of Blue Dragon. Okay, so what Blue Dragon represents is that equals, every time you hashtag Blue Dragon, that equates to a $10 US donation. And that basically deals with women, boy and girl and woman, sex trafficking. Okay, it helps with their medical care. So that's what that, rabbit hole. That is what that goes to. So last year, towards like the last 2 months, we ended up donating over $6,000, which is pretty fucking epic. Okay, so if you have that tonight, hashtag Blue Dragon. Yeah, Ryan, huge. Guys, I found out about B1G1 through Ryan because they do that in quantum as well. And so the impacts you have, like, why make all this money if we're not going to be doing something good with it? Period. Okay, so let's get stuck into this call, right? So to be successful in trading, also, guys, if you're new, don't ever ask me what did you say, because I'll never remember. Once I go on my little tangents, who knows what's been said? You'll just have to catch the replay, or someone else who's listening taking notes. But guys, to be a successful trader, it's going to require a complete mental shift from you. And if you're new, don't let that scare you in any way, because I'll use the analogy that I've used 100 times over, and that is the analogy of a brain surgeon. Okay, to be a brain surgeon, you don't just become a brain surgeon overnight, do you? It takes years of education, study, practice as an intern, and then you're ready, right? But a brain surgeon, the reason I'm using this as an analogy with trading is because with a brain surgeon, being a brain surgeon, you don't have any room for error, right? They can't have a bad day. They dedicate their life to performing to perfecting, I guess, their physical ability as well as their mental ability to control their own state of mind during moments of uncertainty. Okay, I want you to think about that and how that relates to trading, because trading may not be as difficult as learning to be a brain surgeon is, but both occupations require you to perform at a high level during uncertain environments. Okay, so every single thing that we share on these calls are based upon our own experiences being full-time traders. Okay, so our own experiences in the markets. Ryan is also a trader. He's not just a business coach. He is a crypto freaking wizard, NFT wizard. So that's why I've also got him on tonight's call, because it's all one. Okay. And everything that we talk about is of our experience in the markets. And some of these situations and examples may be familiar to you. They may not be for you because you haven't been in it as long yet. Okay. But the only difference between, myself and Ryan, or, Jason Walls on this call, or Tani, who's our newest funded trader, is we've just been doing a little bit longer. Okay. And that's something that we're going to talk about it tonight. Right. So just know that if you're new, successful traders, they don't come out of the womb being successful traders. They're not born. Okay. They are created through doing the necessary work on themselves, but also on the chart. So on and off the charts. Okay, so your success as a trader relies heavily on being able to take responsibility for your trading results. Okay, if you have issues with that, you'll blame everything other than yourself, and you'll be dwelling on all the the what if scenarios. Okay, so taking responsibility of the ins and outs of your pre-trading routine, during the trading session, post-trading, your journaling, your back testing, following your trading plan, why you got in on a trade, why you got out of a trade. It is crucial to understand all of this, because if you don't, then it's going to, it'll cause confusion for you. And then that confusion on the charts in that moment is then going to trigger emotions of greed, fear, hope even. And that will then lead to irrational actions on the markets. Okay. So I want you guys to think about a boxer, right? A boxer has, I never understood boxing, like the sport, right? I understand like the mentality, but who just like wants to get in a ring and gets the shit beaten out of them? Like, I don't understand it. Boxer dog. No, but like think about a boxer, okay? They have one responsibility, and that is essentially to protect themselves at all times. If a boxer loses focus or makes a mistake and does nothing about it, he's going to get an uppercut and get knocked the fuck out, okay? But a trader, you know, a trader that doesn't follow a predetermined set of actions or, you know, their structured trading plan and their trading rules, you're also not protecting yourself or your account, but then you won't take responsibility for your lack of results, okay? So it is a trader's responsibility to develop a system that, which is what we spoke about on Sunday night. Now that call is up in Discord, okay? The trading journal and trading plan calls. If it's trader's responsibility to develop a system that allows you as a trader to approach the market in a really systematic way, okay? And this can only be done if you have complete trust in yourself and in your plan, right? I was saying this to me, who was it today? Kat, I think she's on the call. If you have a stop loss, you honor it. If you have a take profit, you honor it, okay? You don't allow losses to turn into bigger losses because you thought it would recover. Give me a fucking one if you've done that. I've done that, okay? No, it'll come back. It doesn't. So remember, we don't and we cannot predict what price is going to do. We can only react to, okay? So the saying that we always say is fail to plan, plan to fail. That is Bible. Okay. And if you fail to recognize the importance of your trading plan and you just get on the charts every single day willy-nilly and think that's the one, I'm going to go in, and you don't have a set of rules or confirmations to go by, that's going to kick you somewhere. Okay. So if you fail to recognize the importance of your plan and the importance of trading psychology, okay, you will then create events in your head that then lead to emotional triggers that then play out on the charts, okay? So when it comes to trading, capital preservation, that's your job. This is about risk management. Every single time you enter a trade, you should know how much you can potentially gain, you know, how much you can potentially lose. You need to know all the reasons it could go right, all the reasons it could go wrong. And I write that on my charts. You guys have seen my charts before. I put little red X's, all the reasons it could go wrong, and green ticks for all the reasons it could go right? This is about being so aware that it can go wrong and acting quickly to, you know, reduce that risk exposure. Okay, so if you're new, even seasoned traders, right? Remember, our mind is literally engineered to seek the safest option. Okay, so that includes seeking certainty rather than uncertainty. And that's a very difficult thing to do in the market. So it is very difficult to do what our brains are hardwired for. It's very hard to go against that. But that is what's necessary in trading and why we have an emphasis on the trading psychology. And one thing, you know, I did a post about it today. Most new traders have the most unrealistic expectations about this industry. They ask, how much can I, you know, how long until I'm making money? How much did you start with? Blah, 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 right? All the wrong questions. You know, they see old mate on Insta with a Lambo and think that's immediately after they started trading. Okay. And for those that know my journey, I started solo, you know, before this company even was around here, right? In 2015. And it was like, I was like a hamster on a wheel, you know, no guidance, no mentors, certainly no risk management, did not know what leverage was. Okay. I was literally just winging it. Very little success, and there's no surprise why. Okay. It wasn't until I started with IM in 2016, everything changed for me. I had Mike, I had the Tradehouse guys as my mentors. I was learning the system. I was working on my personal development, but I did not make money right away. You know, I was on demo for 4 months. Okay. Even that is like a pretty short time. But I had the vision for what was possible because of the people teaching me. Okay. So if you weren't in our group or this company, I can guarantee you, just from the conversations I have from people that have been in other companies that now come over and join ours, I can guarantee you that you would have quit, or you would have ended up being, you know, one of the statistics, you know, part of the 95% of why people fail. But since you're in this group, you have access to what I've had access to what Ryan's had, to what Jason's had, okay, to what Jenna's had. And you're in a fucking great place to learn this skill set and be really successful at it, okay? So then it poses the question of why is it that even with a proven trading methodology, a system, why do traders still lose? Okay, so I suggest you watch the pop-up call that we did on Sunday on trading journals and trading plans, because I dive quite deep into that. However, if we remember at the very start of the call, right, behavior can't change unless we're made aware of it. So if we can remember that determining the validity, did I say that right? The validity, I don't know how to say that word, anyway, of a strategy is completely dependent on your performance, not the strategy's performance. Okay, what did I just say? We need to remember that determining the validity of a strategy is dependent on your performance, not the strategy's performance. No strategy will turn you into a consistently profitable trader unless you first focus on your behavior. Okay, I was talking to Tani about this the other week. You know, consider Cristiano Ronaldo, right? If he had a bad game, do you think he'd blame the turf? Do you think he'd blame the shoes? You know, old mate in the crowd yelling out some trash to him? Probably not at an athlete at his level. You know, if it was me, I would blame the grass for being, 1 millimeter too long and causing me to not lift my feet properly. But I'm not him. What he would do is he would review the game. He would take responsibility for his play. He would look for ways that would improve his performance. And that is the kind of behavior that a professional needs, a professional trader, right? If he blamed outside factors, he wouldn't address his flaws in his performance, right? But Ronaldo knows that even with the best shoes, the best grass, the great weather, he is completely responsible for how he plays when he steps foot on that field, right? So if you aren't prepared to put in the time, to put in the effort required off the charts to be a successful trader, by educating yourself and developing good habits, you're setting yourself up to be part of that statistic that fails, okay? And 90% of the time, trading comes down to the decisions that you make in uncertain environments, okay? And what do we do as human beings? We seek certainty. So accepting that certainty is a part of trading allows you to stop looking for the safest option because it doesn't exist, right? So then doing this, that then allows you to follow your trading plan. It allows you to follow your rules, right? And it reminds you that we must make decisions based on our objective mind, not on our emotional mind. Okay, so put in a chat here. I love how SJ pronounces words. Yeah, there's definitely some words I cannot pronounce. Put in the chat here if you've been in this long enough for trading to change your life, like give me a 2. Even if that's not monetary, but maybe a behavioral change. Give me a 2 in the chat, okay? Because I know for me, learning to trade changed my life in every way possible, from better decision making to money management, right? Before trading, I was like payment plan queen. I was like that chick that would put like $30 for fucking fuel in the car. That was me. And I still, like, every time I put a full tank of fuel in my car now, I still say thank you. I still show so much gratitude for that shit because I never used to be able to do that, right? It's taught me so much about emotional management, self-awareness, right? And I've learned habits that have applied to all areas of my relationship, whether that's friend or romantic, and business, okay? There is honestly, I can't think of a downside to learning this. You just become the best fucking human being if you stick with this. And I'm going off all those 2s right there, you can attest to that. So when you step into the arena of trading, you always have to keep in mind that this is a skill set that you're learning for life, right? Most people spend 4+ years at uni, hundreds of thousands of dollars go into student loan debt, or they spend 4 years as an apprentice on minimum wage, and you can, hopefully you both get a job at the end of it. But where do you think you would be if you put that time and money into learning this? Okay? Everyone has different learning styles. Everyone has different learning speed. Some people pick this up in 6 months. Some people pick this up in 12 months, 2 years, 5 years. But what is the better option? When I think about working a job, it makes me physically fucking sick, and very sad. So all of that brings us to the topic of tonight, which is about mentors, and it's about how to drop the ego and ask for help for when you need it. Okay, because this is fucking huge. Because seeking guidance, and this is where I'm going to call upon Ryan, because how I started working with Ryan, right? Mark Douglas, good on you, Joshy. How I started working with Ryan was I reached out to him because I wanted a business coach. And he was a phenomenal coach then, like has been forever. But I didn't want to go with him because he was my friend. And I didn't want to be exposed. You know, I didn't want all my shitty parts of myself to be exposed and seen, especially by a friend who I highly, highly respect. And so I hit him up. I'm like, hey, I want a business coach. And I didn't exactly know what I wanted. But anyway, he put me in contact with this person and I spent like thousands of dollars and I don't know what I got from it. But it got me clear on what I did want in a coach. And so last year I reached out to him just like, okay, coach me please. And here we are. Okay, so here we are. So seeking guidance can be a very humbling experience. So, you know, like when we ask for support in this type of way, we are admitting that our knowledge and our skills are inferior to theirs, right? They have the skills, they have the habits, they have the attitudes that we all want, okay? So for us asking for help, we're acknowledging that at least in one area, they are superior and we are less. Who can relate to that? Who can relate to that? Because one of the best things we can do for ourselves to set us up for success in all areas of life is to find people who not only show you how to perform, both, you know, in you know, general life things, but they also hold you accountable for our actions, our behaviors, therefore our results. Okay? So to make the most of this opportunity, what you guys have in your, you know, hot little hands, right? We have to make sure that we're ready to receive this kind of intense support. You know, when we find our teachers, our mentors, we must prepare ourselves to be good students. And I think sometimes as we get older, we forget how to learn. We forget how to ask questions, okay? And so, you know, each of us, for those of us who are driven by success, you know, and leaders would say, you know, type A personalities, that can be very difficult. Very difficult. But you know what? We need to get the fuck over it. We need to get over it because entering into a mentoring relationship is going to be so challenging to our egos, right? So when we ask for guidance from a successful, motivated individual, our feelings, our ego may get bruised, okay? Because I know with Ryan, he don't know how he does it. He's the most empathetic, did I say that word right? I don't know, compassionate human being that he tells me when I'm doing things wrong, but not in a way of I'm doing it wrong. He just has a wonderful way with words, right? And when they do that, we might actually be surprised by how wrong we're doing it, okay? And there's gonna be times where sometimes I wanna rebel, you know, I wanna assert that I already know what I'm doing. And you know, defenses go up, and that is to protect our egos. And we might even question whether we need a mentor or not. Give me a 1 in the chat if you've ever thought, I don't need a mentor with trading. I can learn this on my own. Oh, nice one, Dan. Nice one, Stu. Yep. So there's this, I don't know if it's a Bible, like I'm not a religious person, but there's this thing that I do like. And it's said like, okay, I can't say these words. Pride cometh before the fall. Is that how it goes? Cometh. Pride cometh before the fall, right? I love that, okay? The word ignorance has a lot of negative connotations to it. You know, it's, you know, maybe a synonym for stupid, okay? But the truth is that we are all ignorant to things we don't know, right? And there is no shame in accepting that. No one knows everything and only fools believe they do. The moment you think you know everything and you don't need a mentor, get back in the classroom, sit down, okay? What is a shame though, is when people are too proud to admit that they don't know what they don't know, okay? And when we're too proud to ask for help, to ask for advice, to, you know, ask for more education, we then become victims of our own ignorance. Our pride becomes our undoing and our egos become our enemies, okay? We need our mentors. We need mentors, okay? And a motivated mentor or a co-mentor, you may have heaps. I have heaps, okay? They will care more about our future than our feelings, okay? And I don't mean that in a harsh way, but we must be prepared for that. They don't tell you, any one of you that's been on a one-on-one with me, you know that it's tough love, but it's always from a space of love. Always from a space of love. I will believe in you until you guys believe in yourselves. Period. Like fucking period, right? A person will only get to the top of their field by being open-minded, by listening to people that have a proven track record, that has been where you want to go, okay? And a bruised ego will heal, right? And hard-won lessons will be remembered. You need to be honest with yourself, and you need to be honest with your mentor, right? Be honest with yourself and with your mentors when you enter this kind of relationship. Because many of us pretend to be the best version of ourselves. That's why I didn't go with Ryan, because I thought, and with this previous coach, I thought I had to be better than what I was. It was another female. It was a fucking ego thing. I literally thought I couldn't be shit. Okay? So this is why I have zero problem paying thousands of dollars for mentors, right? Because, and when you think about it, some of us may go the opposite way, and we actually may downplay our skills and accomplishments. I know Ryan's called me out that 100 times. We don't want to appear too prideful. And if we're being honest, that right there, there's a part of us that doesn't want the extra responsibility of those leading us, right? Because now they know that we're capable of so much more. And there's a reason why it's called a comfort zone, because both tendencies need to be set aside, right? Along with our ego. To get the most out of a mentoring relationship, ego needs to be left at the door, right? So while we should show up with a positive attitude, we want them to know the real us, shortcomings and all, right? All of my one-on-ones, I know so much about you shit, I'm taking it to the grave. Okay? But it's like this. Imagine going to a doctor and you had a sprained ankle, right? And the doctor comes into the room and asks how you're going. And you're like, yeah, top shit, never fucking better. Like, why are you going to the doctor then? You know, you put on a brave face, you tell the doctor, you know, or would you tell the doctor where you're hurt, how you did it, and would you let them just do their thing to fix you? Like, it's exactly the same thing. This may sound ridiculous, but it's the exact same thing with a person asking for guidance with trading. You know, mentors will get, you know, I get so much reward from seeing you guys fucking thrive. Okay, and that's only possible if you're willing to change and willing to take our advice to heart. You know, if you're not able to do this, then honestly, you're not only wasting your time, but you're wasting ours as well. Okay, but here's the kicker, and this is where I know Ryan's going to have a shit ton of freaking nuggets to say. I understand why some of you don't reach out for help, because as much as it can be ego, and maybe that shoe doesn't fit you, maybe you think you should know more, or feel like maybe if however long you've been in, maybe you think you should know more, and you feel silly for asking, or you feel like you'll be judged for not knowing something by now. Right? Maybe it can also be some childhood shit coming through. Maybe you were told as a kid, you know, kids should be seen and not heard. My mother was like that. Okay? And deep down, I genuinely believe that humans are motivated to change, and they want more, they want to learn, and they want to grow. Like, think about toddlers, right? After they learn to try and walk, where are they? They're fucking into everything, right? They have a natural curiosity for everything. And I believe that continues into adulthood. However, as we get older, we get beaten down by people. We get beaten down by busyness. We get beaten down by stress, by bad attitudes, by lack of support. Okay? And once you can overcome that shit that's beating you down, you will then re-motivate yourself. Okay? Do you know what happens to the lads and the ladettes who ask too many questions? Write in the chat for me. What happens to someone when they ask lots of questions? Make the most money. They'd probably get fucking answers. You know, we always say there's no dumb questions. Of course there's dumb questions. There's lots of them. You know, I've asked heaps. You know, I was talking to Chip today about buffalo wings and chicken wings and how buffaloes, yeah, anyway, that's another conversation. But we all ask dumb things, okay? But there is some truth to the cliche that the dumbest question is the one you don't ask. Think about the grocery store. Do you guys spend 15 minutes looking for what you're trying to find? You know, is peanut butter in the condiments, or is it over with the bread? You know, wait, milk and cheese is down, milk's down that end, cheese is down the end. Like, what the fuck? You know, I just walk into a store and say, hey, I'm looking for this. Where is it? That's what I do. Okay. But most people don't do this. And it's the same reason for directions. Okay. There's no wondering, there's no guessing, there's no waiting. So that doesn't make me feel stupid or weak for asking questions. I'm too busy to be wondering. If I want to know something, I'm nosy, I'll ask. Okay? So sure, questions can be a sign that you don't understand something, which is why if you don't understand something, you absolutely must ask. I'm never going to say to you, you should fucking know this by now. Like, never. I'd be like, cool, you know what? It's actually this. So even now when I work with you guys, even when I take on new students, I ask a million questions. What are you hoping to accomplish? Tell me more about that, what that looks like. What have you done? What have you done this far? When do you want to have this done by? What does success look like for you? How often would you like me to check in on you? Okay. My greatest strength as a mentor and a coach is to be ignorant and ask a few questions. But I can only ask the questions. The answers have to be from you. Okay. And I think before I hand this over to Ryan, I think we can all agree that we are in a world, right? We are in a world that prides itself on strength and independence. You know, we are strongest when we can fend for ourselves. We are more powerful when we can stand on our own 2 feet. And as a female, you know, I am driven to be as self-sufficient as possible. You know, most women grew up, you know, learning that we've got to fight for our rights. You know, it's another conversation. And that was like, you know, before my time even. Okay. And men feel this too. You know, they're told that being a real man means handling their shit. Okay. And this belief has been created to people who are not willing to ask for help when we need it. Therefore, you suffer in silence. Okay. Or we admit we're way in over our heads. Okay, so bottom of the line, I think what stops people when they see someone more successful than them, they find it hard to reach out because they get a feeling that they might be wasting their time. 100%, it's exactly what I was saying. You know, if you get started in our company, we are always here to help. I never, ever, ever want someone coming into our organization and feeling lost, ever. Even if you can't find something on the platform, I'm a message away. I don't even care if you're not even in my team. There's a lot of people on here that aren't even in our team. If you can't find something, you don't know something, please ask. So Ryan, I want to hand it to you. Where are you, you cheeky little possum?
I'm just like absorbing all the juju. How good's SJ, right? You guys get her every single week in this capacity. It's so good just to listen.
It's fun because when Mikey cancelled, I was like, oh, okay. Well, 2 people asked the exact same question of like how to ask for help, and without feeling like, you know, could be, like I said, could be an ego thing, could be a childhood thing. But Ryan, I'd love to know your take on this because I know we had a really brief chat about it tonight. I know you've got a lot to say, so I'm going to mute myself. Thank you for listening to me riff legends.
Okay, guys, can we please give it up for SJ as well in the chat? Send us some love hearts. Okay. What you guys don't fully appreciate is how much like SJ and I have conversations every single day about the success of how you all are going. Okay. We have seriously conversations about how is someone here and how can I get them up to the next level, wherever you're at. And she's thinking about, okay, well, what next system, what process, what tool, what video, you know, what track can I put this person on to help them succeed? Eshe and I had a conversation around even redesigning the onboarding documents so that people of different learning types can be best supported. And so she does a lot of amazing work behind the scenes, behind the camera to support you guys. So thank you, SJ. And it's such an honor and a privilege to be here tonight. I didn't get a chance to say it at the beginning. I know that you guys use the hashtag Blue Dragon. And so every time I'm guest presenting on Zooms, okay, I also want to make a contribution. So every time that the hashtag Blue Dragon is used tonight, I'm going to double what SJ is doing and give 100 days clean drinking water to children in Ethiopia. Okay, so just use that. Go nuts in the chat. Now, I do want to say I'm a guest tonight, so you're missing the mic. Okay, but I'm going to hopefully be the Ike. This is some American candy. If you haven't tried it, this is like crack in candy form. Okay, I'm really excited to be here this evening with you all. And SJ, just for you, I picked the Bunnings green as well. So if I mark anything up here, that's the reminder for you.
I can't wait till you guys see my wall in the daylight. I look like I'm in a black dungeon right now, but it's a lush wall.
It's so good to be here. And with your permission, guys, I'm gonna, do some drawings where it makes sense to do so. Okay. But as SJ was talking, it reminded me of this quote by James Clear. And if I asked SJ what she said, she's already forgotten it, right? But you guys were listening, so I wanted to share it with you. Some of you might have read his book, Atomic Habits. If not, highly recommend. Probably one of the best personal development books I've ever read. And there's a lot of actionable stuff in here. And I don't often recommend books because I don't want you to be loaded on information and then not implementing. We do not want to be just, solely information junkies. And so he says in his book, your outcomes are a lagging measure of your habits. And more specifically to your financial success, so your net worth is a lagging measure of your financial habits. Your weight is a lagging measure of your eating habits. Your knowledge is a lagging measure of your learning habits. So the two in particular that are relatable to you guys tonight, okay, is what you're doing with your dollars, okay, and then also what are you consuming? So I'm going to put time here. You get what you repeat. Here's the interesting insight though. If you're not on the charts and you're not practicing, you show up for the calls, but you're not implementing outside, so it just remains as information, okay? What good is more information if you just stuff it into something that is already full? It's not attainable, it's not available to be stored. It has to be utilized. It has to be implemented, because in the implementation, we learn, we grow, we evolve, we change. In the implementation, what happens is there's a discovery, there's a learning, there's a growth opportunity. There's something different that we get to discover that doesn't exist in the information. And we get it by spending time on the charts. We get it by asking the questions. Because if we don't know the answer and we're just sitting there behind the keyboard, not doing anything with that. By the way, I've been there. I promise you. I've sat there and when I first started, I was like, what the fuck are all these lines of spaghetti on the screen? I have no idea what's going on. Red candles, green candles, what does all of that mean? Right? Can I only make money when the chart's going up? Okay. Some of you might have had these thoughts yourself. Now, here's how I got over it. I asked some questions. I ask questions because I appreciate that I'm in the right space. That if I'm paying for the mentorship to be a part of this community, then I have access to people who are smarter than me, who would have figured, people who've done it before me. Now, you guys might have heard that quote by Albert Einstein, right? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. What happens though, guys, when we pay to be in an incredible space right now? Did you know that you're one of 82 people on this call, that there are 81 other people who you have the opportunity to learn from? 81 others. Now imagine showing up into a space, committing your membership every single month, putting money in your trading account, and being stuck, not utilizing anyone around you, and then hoping and praying and wishing and crossing your fingers and touching wood that things would turn out differently for you without taking advantage of the people around you. Imagine all of the times where you've been in a space and you haven't fully utilized the collective brain capacity of everyone here. And that if you're not asking questions, you're doing yourself and your mentor a disservice. You might be asking, why is it a disservice for them? It's a disservice if you do not ask questions for a couple of reasons. The first one is, if you don't ask, you play into your old patterns and behaviors that have kept you exactly where you are in life and nothing more. So the same spaces that you go into, the same friendship circles, the same work environments, where you have a thought, you have an idea, you have a question, you have an insight, you have something to contribute, and you don't share, and you stay silent, you don't mention it, keep your mouth shut, put on a happy smile, pretend. The worst thing is pretending that everything's okay. SJ checks in on you, someone else on your team checks in on you and you're like, yeah, I'm sweet, but you know that you're not. And you created this dishonesty with self. You say, I'm okay, I'm going well, I'm following the plan. Do you have any questions? Oh no, I'm good this week, SJ. Don't worry about me, go help somebody else. And she checks in again next week. You say, oh no, I'm fine, I got it. I'm gonna figure it out. And time goes on. And you're like, fuck, I don't got it. I don't got it. And now your feet, you've ever seen like Jumanji in quicksand, right? Your feet are sinking more. And so imagine how much more work it is, how much more energy it is, how much more pride and ego you have to overcome when you're halfway in it because you feel stuck and you're determined. You're like, I'm going to get out of here on my own. And we try to do it on our own and then we're struggling because we recognize that we can't. The worst thing for the people around you to do is to try to pull you out when you're, 3/4 the way underneath. And actually, all they needed to do was give you a helping hand at the beginning. The helping hand is not anything to do with your capability. It's got nothing to do with whether you're worthy or not. The helping hand is, I'm going to support you. I'm going to walk side by side with you so that you can understand this, you can learn this skill, you can develop it. Because the beautiful thing that I love the most about trading is that once you learn it and you master it, and it is a constant evolution, don't get me wrong, but once you have the fundamentals down pat and you have your trading plan in place and you have your psychology tight, someone could take your freaking home, they could empty your bank accounts, you could be scammed. You get those little sneaky text messages. You accidentally click on the wrong link and someone drains your bank account. But you know what? You're all sweet because you have the skills to pay the bills the next time. And so getting into that space where people can actually help you and are committed to helping you move through that, ends up becoming really, really powerful. So the first thing about asking questions, the breakthrough that you get to experience for yourself by asking a question, is to overcome the itty bitty shitty committee in your head that tells you that you should keep your mouth shut. I don't want to annoy this person. I don't want to post in the Discord again because I asked too many questions yesterday. Every time you ask the thing that is gnawing at you, the thing that's bothering you about your trading, the quicker you nip it in the bud, okay, what you're actually doing with yourself is you're building self-trust. That self-trust is going to translate to the chart when you're executing your trading plan. Because here's the thing, if you then trust yourself and you trust the plan that's been reviewed by your mentors, then even if it's swinging the other way, okay, you either have trust that it's going to execute as planned or trust that you get to learn from it. How cool is that? And so here's the thing in that. In trusting your process, you actually get to walk away from the computer. You get to step away. You get to be a lot less anxious about it just by asking more questions. Right? Now, the second thing you get from asking the question, whether it be in the Discord, okay, or messaging SJ, please use the Discord first. I respect SJ's DMs too. Message her on there or on these calls, right? But the second thing you get to do is you get to lead. Now, for some of you, you might never have thought of yourself as a leader, but there are people in your life that are watching you. And for a lot of you, the reason why you got into trading is for some personal reason as to what you'd like to do for your family or for your friends, right? The people you care about most, your loved ones. You want to write legacy, you want to rewrite your history around money. You want to change all of that. You want to provide for your kids. You want to leave your job. You want to go on holidays. You want to change the story you grew up in that said that you couldn't, that said that you were not capable. Maybe you grew up in a household where your parents didn't have a lot of money to put on the table. Maybe you've had a job for the last 10 years that only ever paid you $50,000 a year. And so every time you're trading, you're coming up against something different. You're coming up against a change in identity. Okay? Notice in the quote here, this is creating identity, okay, which relates to who you are. And so when we're having these conversations, I'm a lot more excited about who you're becoming than who you've been and where you've come from. And so SJ will always talk to you about where you're going, right? Now notice how much we hold on to our past and we drag it with chains, kicking and screaming. We're trying to take all the stuff that doesn't serve us. It makes it it makes it a lot harder for us to move forward. Because maybe we've been told, oh, but I shouldn't say that. I don't want to be the annoying one, right? I don't want to be that person that asks that question. And every time you don't push through and you don't ask the question, you reinforce that story and you make it true again that, oh, I shouldn't ask. I shouldn't take up space. So that's the invitation, to have that breakthrough in the asking. Okay. The third gift in this, there's so many gifts. We're going to work through them all. The third gift in this is that if you're the leader, okay, and your family and people are watching you, you going first and asking the question means other people have permission to ask as well. Remember when you've been in the chat and you laugh when someone makes the joke in the comments because you were thinking it too, but you didn't want to say it. So when you ask the question in the Discord, somebody else gets free. Yes, that's what I was thinking. Thank you, Michelle, for asking that. Thank you, Tani, for leading the way with FTMO. Thank you, Jess, for showing us how it is to lead and show up consistently. Right? Somebody else gets to resonate with your question. Everyone benefits in the answer, but SJ can't read minds. So she can't answer something that hasn't been asked. And her trying to interpret what you mean and like guess just adds to confusion. So it's so much easier if we actually just really upfront, like, hey, this is where I'm stuck right now. This is where I'm struggling. I don't understand this. I don't believe Jenna's on the call tonight. She won't mind me sharing this. It's just very funny. SJ, you might remember this. So back when Jenna started, I remember October 2018. Okay. We were on the rooftop of my apartment building and she was terrified of sharing her mission with a call with Leon Davies. It's about 100 people on the Zoom call and she's sharing and she's shaking, like physically shaking, and she's sharing about what she wants to create for her life, for her family, for her children. October 2018. And she wrote, by December 2019, I want to quit my job and be a full-time trader. I think she was about a month in at this time into a journey. And I remember over the next few months, one of the things that she said, or she had a bias around reading the charts. And the bias was that she thought she could only make money if the charts went up. And that when the charts were going down, that she was losing money. The reason I share that with you is because we've all had this journey, and SJ said something really important at the beginning. The ones who you admire are just a little bit further along in the journey, have a little bit more experience on the chart. And there is nothing stopping you from having that level of success for yourself. You get what you repeat. Now, here's the thing. Here's the really valuable thing in this, guys. You get what you repeat. Now, if you are having a lot of shitty trades, okay? So a lot of shitty trades, you're unhappy with it, and you keep this to yourself. What happens if you keep repeating what you're doing? Well, you have more shitty trades, nothing changes, you get frustrated. What do you start telling yourself? This isn't for me. I'm not cut out for this. I can't make this work. I'm too busy. I'm losing too much money. It works for that person and it doesn't work for me. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm just dumb. Maybe I can't get this. Now, we all have that in our head, And what it looks like then is we withdraw. We pull away. We're less active. We leave our mentors on red. We ignore their question for a few days because it's a little bit confronting. SJ pops up in your inbox and asks how you're going, and you're not sure how to answer, and you don't want to lie, and so you're just like, you get what you repeat. So what if you saw this as, okay, cool, I've made a couple of mistakes. Maybe I don't know what this means right now. So how can I ask this question? Okay. Now I want to share something with you guys so that you really, really get this. Circle. You can draw this down if you want. It might be a nice reminder for you. But let's look at this. So change this a little bit. Okay. So you know what you know. Okay. You know what you know. So, for example, I'm going to use SJ for a moment. She knows that she's a really good trader and learning. She's confident in that. She knows personal training. She knows some art. She's really talented. Okay. She knows how to sing. Now I'm putting her on the spot. And then know what you don't know, which is a much larger circle sometimes. So we're gonna highlight this in red. So you know what you don't know. So SJ knows that she can't say validity. She knows that. Okay? Here's the thing, guys. This is often our whole world here in this space. We know what we know, and we know what we don't know. Okay? In trading, we often think we operate out of those spaces. I know certain pairs. I know certain cryptos. I know not to trade gold. Right? SJ, what was your pair that you like had a love-hate relationship with for a long time? Was it like USD JPY?
Yes.
Yes.
But we're friends now. I understand it very fully.
Okay. Beautiful. So I remember this. I remember because SJ would get really frustrated. She'd go back and she'd try to trade this pair, and it would just like slap her across the face. Okay? So we know what we know, we know what we don't know. However, here's what we've got to realize. That in the area of the blue dragon, here is you don't know what you don't know. Okay, so there needs to be a D in there. You don't know what you don't know. This is the majority of our life here. You don't know what you don't know. And the thing with that is you can't see it for yourself because you don't know what you don't know. That's why you need the mentors. That's why you need the people around you to support you. Okay, that's why you need the insights, because here's what happens. SJ can then stand here, okay, or, Tani, Jenna have a little bit more experience. Dan on the crypto front, okay? And they can stand here and they can say, ooh, okay, let's have a look at this area. This is your blind spot. This is what is up for discovery for all of you when you ask questions. But if you don't ask them, you are only limited to this quadrant here. This is your trading journey. This is where you live. So asking the questions gives you insight into areas that you hadn't even considered at looking at. Maybe you've had a really rough week on the charts, and maybe you didn't even pinpoint that was the fact that was related to the fact that your grandmother passed away 2 weeks ago. And you're angry and you're upset and you haven't dealt with it yet. But someone else looking out for you might then be able to know, oh, maybe it's not a great time to trade today. You're going through some stuff. Maybe you're better off sitting it out. Okay? Or someone can look at your chart in the Discord and then offer a perspective, an insight, an understanding that you couldn't have gotten there on your own. And so by you posting your chart, by you posting your journals in the group, don't just post the chart, like post what you're thinking around it. Share why you've reached that conclusion, why you've put your take profit there. That provides an insight into how you're thinking. Okay. Now here's the thing. SJ probably already says this many, many times to you guys. Trading, 90% psychology, 10% skill. You can teach the monkeys to trade. I think that there was actually an experiment like 2 years ago, and they started teaching monkey, or even last year, some animals to start trading crypto, and it was better than the New York Stock Exchange folk. It was amazing. So you can teach animals to trade, right? The psychology is what we get to master. And so you sharing your thinking and your understanding, your process up here, helps anyone looking at your chart to get an insight into why you've done it the way that you have, and then offer something else as a contribution. And maybe it's literally SJ come along and saying, great markup, fantastic. Let me know if it hits your TP1. But you don't have that if you don't share it. You don't have confirmation if what you're doing is working. Now, the reason why I'm really passionate about this, by the way, is because when I first joined IM, I had people approaching me on how to trade, okay? So I had people asking me questions. I frankly did not want to teach them. Had a couple of friends pay me a few $100s. We sat down for a couple of hours, like walked through a whole bunch of stuff. And then I'd say, okay, cool. Go join IM. Watch the videos. Show up for the calls. Now, at the beginning when I was starting to speak, I mentioned something, that the information on its own has to translate to something, has to be implemented. Okay? If you don't implement it, it's really freaking easy to just sit on knowledge without the comprehension, without the understanding. And so you have education without the embodiment. So I had friends who were on Go Live. Now, I trust, and I know that you guys don't do this. I'm going to share this example, right? So hopefully none of this applies to any of you. I have friends who watched the go live and showed up, and they were talking to me about the pairs. I'm like, awesome. Show me your chart. Show me why it is that you think that. They whipped out their laptop in front of me, a TV, Chromecasted it to the television, and I'm giggling, laughing on the inside. I'm giggling, laughing because I can't contain my face. And it was probably mean in hindsight, right? So basically what I couldn't understand is, how on earth could you have watched so much information and not practice this outside of the calls? Okay. SJ, do you have anything to comment on that front? Like, it's really important.
Yeah, I do. So this is where we really bring it home about I am Tradehouse, bounce back, go live. That is your education. You on the charts is your training, which is why we talk about with your notions every single time. Like once you get that, the checklist that we've created, phase 1, you need to have, what is it, like maybe 12 to 15 charts already marked up just from phase 1. Same with phase 2. Phase was, what is it? How many phases? 3. And same with phase 3. So by the time you've finished, you've probably marked up close to like 30 to 50 charts if you're doing it right. If you're doing what the blueprint says. If you're not watching, like it's like basketball, like I watch the NBA fucking highlights at 12 p.m. at night, right? I can't learn how to play if I don't get on the court. It's exactly the same. It is a doing skill set. You're not going to learn how to do it if you don't do it. That's all I.
And can you guys just pop like a 333 in the chat if this resonates with you, or if this is where you're at? If any of you are currently on demo with a demo account and frustrated that you're there, frustrated because you're like, it's pissing you off. You wish you grasped this by now. You wish that you'd moved on, that you're making some money, you'd paid back your membership fees already, okay? And you're not really happy with being there. Okay, I see a lot of 333s, awesome. I want to give you a powerful reframe around this. Consider that all of your time spent mastering and perfecting your skill in the demo account is refinement for when you're unleashed on the charts and then making a killing with your own money. Like, consider the freaking gift. Honestly, consider the gift that you can practice and learn and sharpen your skill underneath mentorship without having to do it alone, and can fuck it up, right? And it doesn't cost you anything. How freaking cool is that? You get to keep learning so that when you are ready, and it's going to taste like some sweet, sweet success. It is when you graduate from your demo account, and it's like the training ground. You have the preseason first. You don't just put footballers on a pitch to play. And I think sometimes we sign up and then we think, okay, cool, I'm going to be ready. SJ, put me on the field, let me play. I tell you what, the charts are going to humble you. The markets are going to humble you so fast, but you're flat on your face when you go out there with that attitude. Right? And so recognize that where you're at in the demo account is a blessing. And maybe some of you aren't in your demo account. Maybe you've got a funded account right now, but you're frustrated with where you're at in the balance. Consider that if we take into account the capital preservation that SJ said, okay, that if you're preserving capital, consider that you haven't lost it all yet. That's a blessing, right? And so then it's like, okay, cool. I have $200 in my trading account. It's not $20,000, but it's 200. And what you're learning is, how can I hold on to that 200 whilst growing it? It's like a seed that you plant. Now, you guys have all probably seen the, the compound interest diagram and what that looks like really small. So think about this. Maybe you've heard about this before. If you've ever seen a mustard seed, or you've ever put mustard seeds on a salad, that thing is so freaking small, like tiny. Tiny, tiny, tiny. And yet, over time, it grows. And then what happens is it shoots out the ground, right? And it gets bigger. Mustard trees are some of the freaking biggest trees that you will see. They're huge. And they come from here. This is your growth. And just recognize, just for everybody on the call, just take note of wherever you're at in your trading journey, whether that is, $200 in your trading account, 20,000, 200,000, maybe you're on demo, maybe you signed up last week, maybe you're 6 months in and getting really frustrated, that your season of growth looks different to everybody else's, right? There's really, honestly, lots of respect for you that you're still here. You're still showing up each week. It takes commitment to show up for these calls. It takes commitment to be here. You could be anywhere else in the world right now, doing anything else, kissing your loved ones, going to bed, making sweet, sweet love to your partner, and you're here. That says something about who you are. And if we recognize that our growth is going to look different to everybody else, and here's the important point, planting the seed is not the same time that you reap the harvest. Okay? Planting the seed is not when you reap the harvest. Really, really important. So you planting is when you signed up. Okay? Now, then you got to show up for these calls, right? And go live. And so you have the rain and you start watering it. And practicing. All right? And then you expose it to some sunshine. So I call SJ a bit of sunshine, right? She loves all of you. She really deeply cares. Sorry if you, there we go. You can see it on the screen. Okay. And then consider that this community that you might not be fully utilizing. I want you guys to recognize where you're not fully utilizing this community to its maximum. Where in particular do you hold out, retreat, hide away, stay silent on the call, stay off camera? Okay? Consider that the community is good fertilizer for your seed. Right? Now, for a seed to take off, for it to be healthy, for it to get roots in the ground, it needs exposure to all of these elements. So it does need your mentor. And SJ and your peers can't help you if you don't share with them, right? And then these calls water that seed. So being exposed to it all, it then creates this beautiful foundation. And so for some of you, where you're waiting for it to take off and really land and hit you, you might be here, right? And your growth is just waiting for you on the other side. Farmers plant in seasons, and they know that when they plant it, they're not reaping. Then they haven't yet given it enough time and exposure to then reap the harvest, but there will come a time where that compounds and snows. Now, here's the beautiful thing. The mustard tree over here, how many thousands of seeds, tens of thousands of seeds could this actually produce? How many people do you guys get to impact as a result of you sticking out the journey? How much history gets to be rewritten in your family by you being the success story? By you choosing, okay, fuck yeah, this is going to be for me now. And it's got nothing to do with what everybody else is doing. And it's got everything to do with how are you going to nurture the seed that's been planted wherever you're at in your journey. Maybe for some of you, it's like you're starting to blossom. You're catching on. It's coming through. It's becoming more clear. You feel really lit up and excited. And you know that, oh, I've been hardened out a little bit and there's more for me to contribute. Okay. So I just want to like maybe leave it that there with you guys to then think about where are you at? Who do you need to reach out to? Who do you need to get plugged in with this week? What go live do you need to do? What do you need to implement and share and move through? And recognize that if you're the seed that is being planted in good ground with the water and the sun, right? Being surrounded by peers and this support network and accountability, that by you showing up and sharing wherever you're at is beneficial. And it's beneficial for your mentor. The last thing I was going to say, so point number 4, is it's beneficial for your mentor when you show up and you ask questions so that they learn how to better support you on your journey and adapt and give you the tools, the training, point you in the right direction, help you, correct course if need be, and to point out your blind spots to help you see the things that you don't know. Okay? Beautiful.
Oh my God, gang. Come on. I have a homework task for you guys, and that is to send me your takeaways from this epic call with Ryan. I want to know what you guys have learnt. Give him some love. Oh, look, you already are. Let's get him on, guys. Can't keep him to myself. That'd be selfish. Yeah. To close this up, guys, like Ryan, phenomenal. Like, I appreciate you so much. I really, last minute thing, I was like, hey, what are you doing tonight? Hey, nothing, get on my call. Cool, that's actually happened. Here we are. I appreciate you so much for giving your wisdom and your time and your knowledge to the trading squad. There's many different organizations on here, and I know every single one of them would have gained something. Like, if someone can please do a quick tally of the blue dragons, that'd be epic. And just to close this out, guys, I'll be honest and pretty upfront. Like, I like to be the best at stuff right away, and when I'm not, the feelings that settle in are really tough, but something that I've been reminded an embarrassingly number of times is that success in anything isn't usually the first thing that I find. Okay, it's everything else. Instead, it's a process of trying. It's a process of, failing. And remember, it's not failing unless you quit, right? You're failing forward. You're learning what not to do, okay? And you're trying again. And that's exactly what you'll find going through this journey. So many perceptions that we hold make you feel like you're failing harder than you actually are. Not having the whole picture, comparing your beginning to someone else's middle, right? To someone else's, comparing your first 3 months to someone else's 5 years, 3 years, okay? Or thinking you should be further along than what you are. Remember what I always say, you are exactly where you need to be. If you were to have everything that you wanted, you would have it by now, but there's a reason you don't, and it's because you're not ready for it. You're not ready for that. You've got to grow through a couple of other things first, okay? So just remember that all things that are, my phone's gone bonkers, that all things that are familiar were once strange. Everyone was once a beginner. So this is your reminder that everything looks hard and difficult until it isn't. Everyone looks at a chart for the first time. Everyone cries on the charts sometimes, all the time. Not so much now. But even Jenna used to ring me bawling her eyes out. She'd ring Ryan bawling her eyes out. I fucking quit. I can never understand this. Guys, imagine if she gave into that. Okay?
You also had the feeling of it being spaghetti on a screen too, right? So I felt so validated that it wasn't just me at the beginning. Then it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And it like turns into, spaghetti bolognese and you're like, oh my God, this is delicious.
I love this shit. Yeah. You go back for a second bowl. So if you see that
for USD JPI.
Oh yeah. I was telling Kat about my UJ trade last year and I caught like 17,800 pips on it. It was one of my best. So we're getting along. Just but like I said, as you guys know, I trade EU, GU and gold. That's all I do. But yeah, guys, like if you're new here, if you're not even started yet, I know there's a couple of completely green people that are not even in trading yet. They've never even looked at a trading view or a chart. I really hope that this doesn't scare you away. But if you have, if you do see value in learning and in trading and investing and doing something that can set your future up, don't let its perceived difficulty stop you from getting educated or even just asking questions. Because I always say excuses are found, skills are developed, right? So you aren't a failure, you're just a beginner, right? So you need to give yourself permission to be a beginner, because every single person starts somewhere, and every single person that is really, really, really good at something once didn't know fucking anything. They once also struggled, and you're allowed to have that moment, right? You're allowed to be the person who doesn't have all the answers, who doesn't have it together yet. So stop thinking you should be further along. You're allowed to be where you are. You're allowed to be imperfect. You're allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to not have all the tools, right? It takes time to build this skill, any skill, right? It takes time to learn how to navigate this, to navigate new things and find out what your strengths are. Okay, so struggling at something you've never done is fucking normal. That's called being a human, and it's okay. Okay, so you aren't a failure, even if it's overly difficult, right? You aren't pathetic. You're not a fucking loser. You're not incompetent. It's not shameful to ask a question if you don't know. You're a beginner. You're still learning. So can we drop a fucking 7 and honor that? Actually, give me a 777 because that's what they all do on Go Live, and Dan loves a 777. So we're going to do some 777s, okay? Honor
888, because that's like the wealthy number of the Chinese, right? And so Chinese New Year's coming up.
We're going to do 888s, guys, right? There's so much honor in opening yourself up to new knowledge and new experiences and new conversations, okay? There's so much honor in putting yourself outside of your comfort zone so that you can grow into a new and a more, you know, full, better, more whole version of yourself, right? So if you're feeling lost, you're feeling unprepared, know that that's just part of the process. Everyone else here, everyone, all 64 that's remained on this hour-long call, every one of you have been there in something in your life, and you've all made it through. You'll figure it out along the way. It takes time. You're allowed to give yourself that, okay? And just know that this won't be overwhelming and difficult forever. Soon you'll look at a chart and be like, bada, 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 done, in. I don't know why I made that noise, but we're in. So, how many blue dragons do we have? I hope it's not 888.
I think like 101.
We're gonna be broke.
100.
Well, that's epic, guys. That's like $1,000 right there. Okay, okay. Well, Ryan, I'm gonna hand it to you to close it out. And guys, I appreciate you all being here, showing us, staying the call. So Ryan, chuck it to you to close these babies out.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, all right. I have a way we're gonna do this. So for you epic humans who have stuck around, just give me a moment. Bear with me.
I'm scared.
We need an anthem. Okay.
We've already got it. It's Hurricane by I Prevail. That is the Tuesday anthem.
The Tuesday anthem. Is that the incoming anthem or the outgoing?
Oh, we've never had an outgoing. We don't see one.
Exactly. There is a first time for everything. So,
Right. Daddy.
I have the anthem. No one would be able to guess what it is, but I tell you what, it is so fitting for this moment. So, as I'm playing this, I want you guys to just think about why you're here and why it is that you're trading. Okay. So, are you doing it for your family? Are you doing it for your legacy? Are you doing it to rewrite something for yourself? Are you doing it because you want a freaking holiday? You want to leave your job finally? Whatever that is for you, just bring that to the forefront of your mind. Okay. And before we go, I'd like all of us to stand up wherever you are. SJ looks nervous. So just stand up wherever you are. Okay. And there's power in this. There's power in your posture and your stance. We want to finish how we start. Okay. I know it's late wherever we are, and that's okay. So I'm going to play this anthem. I want you to think about what it freaking is for you that you're doing this for. And then as you think about it, you can drop off and leave. And I'll leave you with this. And then just feel it in your body as well, right? Oh. Hey guys, I can't rap, but this song is about you claiming whatever it is you want. 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name. He doesn't need his name up in lights, he just wants to. So what are you going to be remembered for? Andy, Jack, Brittany, Caleb. What are you going to be remembered for? Daniela, Danny, Dana, D, L. What are you going to be remembered for? Jacinta, Jacob, Ben, Josh, Joel, Kat, Lenny, Lisa, Mark, Maz, Michael, Michelle. What are you going to be remembered for? Nick, Oz, Ruby, Ryan, F, Stuart, Connie, Toy. Awesome, guys. Have a beautiful week. Have an amazing trading education this week. Sleep well.
Thanks, everyone. Have a beautiful night.
Hey guys.
Legends. Thank you so much, Ryan.
You're welcome. My pleasure.